Well, joining me now is someone I'm looking forward to seeing much more of on Sky this year. A few years back now, I rang her up and said, why don't you come on to the Hardgrave program? And she did. So she's part of the alumni. Now the new host of The Royal Report, Caroline Di Russo, is joining me from Perth. Welcome, Caroline. Congratulations.
Hi, how you going?
Let's get straight into it. Yeah, all really good. I'm very excited for you. But what is this Royal Report going to be all about? I believe we have a bit of an opener here, so let's have a look at what's planned.
This is The Royal Report with Caroline Di Russo.
Well, it's very, very regal. Are you going to wear a tiara?
Look, that can be arranged, Gary, and as you know, I'm always up for something sparkly, so if I can get that past the producers, I absolutely will. Look, we've got a coronation coming up. We have got a coronation coming up, and obviously there's plenty Sussex news, which if January is anything to go by, Gary, we are going to be chock full of content for this show in the coming months. But so some of it is obviously going to be Harry and Meghan related, but we're going to a coronation and we haven't had one of those since 1953. So there's going to be lots of other really interesting royal and royal-related type news coming up. Upcoming to the coronation, maybe in relation to, you know, republic versus monarchy. There are plenty of other kind of constitutional intricacies, which, as you know, Gary, I'm a massive nerd, so I'm really hoping that we get to tease some of that out on the Royal Report.
Well, massive nerd, I've got some material I'm going to make available to you that actually talks about that 53 coronation, which might be very helpful to you. But anyway, we'll watch that space with interest. Harry, of course, he may not be in the royal family 16 weeks from now, but he subjected us all to yet another interview today. Here's a little clip of Harry.
I have a huge amount of compassion for her, you know, being the third person within my parents' marriage. You know, she's my stepmother. I don't look at her as an evil stepmother. I see someone who married into this institution and has done everything that she can to, you know, improve her own reputation and her own image for her own sake.
So, Caroline, what have you made of this latest interview?
Well, it's just more. It's just more. It's like the podcasts and the photo ops and the Netflix series and everything. Like, it wasn't enough. So now we need it in print, and then we need it with a follow-up interview to kind of set the context. And it really, in a sense, Gary, it's much of the same. And when you kind of get to the end of it, quite frankly, yeah, there's the odd little bit of something a little bit scandalous or salacious here and there. But ultimately, I get to the end and I think, oh God, that is one really sad individual. Like, I can't imagine having to feel like it's appropriate to have those sorts of close and should be otherwise private family conversations just fleshed out in public. I actually find that really quite sad, and evidently someone who isn't quite sure how to manage conflict or emotion. As far as Camilla goes, look, I remember the days when she was the mean old Camilla Parker Bowles, as she then was. She has done such an excellent job in just getting down to business, working really hard. You know, she's involved in so many charities, so much charity work, and she really now, as the Queen Consort, it's almost like she's had this total change, this total makeover. Make Madonna blush.
You know, friends of mine in the UK reckon that Camilla is, without doubt, a hoot, and not only that, she is the secret behind any success Charles is going to have. So
I believe it.
You know, she plays. Yeah, I think so. She plays a big role, I think. Now, our colleague Piers Morgan, he said Harry and Meghan should be stripped of all their titles and banned from King Charles' coronation in 16 weeks' time. What do you think?
Look, I wouldn't be surprised if it did happen. I also wouldn't be surprised if it didn't happen. You know, the royal family has got this this kind of great way of the dignified silence and the stiff upper lip. And I feel there might be part of the family that thinks, well, we don't want to bite at the allegations. We don't want to be seen as reacting. So I wouldn't be surprised if they just didn't do anything about it at all because they don't want to aggravate the situation. Totally different point as to whether they should have their titles revoked. When you look at that sort of behaviour, you think, well, this here is a family that you've done nothing but denigrate. Why would you want the titles at all?
No. I mean, let's pretend if Harry's next interview is actually with you on the Royal Report. So what would be your first question?
Not going to happen. The first question I have for Harry is, who is advising you? Who are the people that you were listening to? Because I really do wonder, every time something new comes out, I really do wonder what was behind that? What was the thinking? What was the motivation? Because he's basically done everything contra to what you would think anyone would do in this particular circumstance.
Yeah, and you know, my wife says she reckons that he's really done the wrong thing by his kids, who are just going to have a dreadful life ahead of them. They're going to have every media person looking for the photo of Lilibet's, first day at school. It's just going to be hounded. He's really created a big mess for his family going forward. He really has.
I think he has too. And when you think about the scandals and the dramas that went on in his parents' generation and how that affected him and his brother, why would you try and continue essentially that's not the same, but a similar sort of disruptive behaviour that you then foist on a younger generation? That then becomes a millstone for the children. And I think that is vastly unfair because they've obviously got no say in any of this.
Yeah. Now, just on a quick other matter, Jane Hume was on Sky this morning calling for a fundraising project to support more female candidates in the Liberal Party. I know you might have a few views about that. This is Jane Hume this morning on Sky.
Lots of people have great ideas about how to bring more women into the Liberal Party, but the problem is they don't have, the funding mechanism behind it to make sure that it's sustainable into the future. And it's important that we all participate in this because it is important for all of our futures, not just the future of women in Parliament.
As a bright person, a woman, what do you make of all of that, Caroline?
Well, I actually feel like I have some particular skin in the game here because when I'm not on Sky, I'm also very senior in the West Australian Liberal Party, and these comments are my personal comments. They're not said on behalf of the party. But it is incredibly important that we get more women involved. But we need more women involved at all levels. We need women involved in branches. We need women involved. We need women sitting in pre-selections before they're participating in pre-selections. And there is a whole process of getting to know the beast that is the party, how it operates and how you can progress yourself. You know, I really do feel for women when they're parachuted in. They may not have the necessary support and sponsorship and support that they need for pre-selection. Then they're unsuccessful. And then they walk away from the party with a view that, you know, you can understand why people would be disappointed. Well, if we can do this in a longer term and better, and that is more substantive, you are going to have better success. And on this one here, I mean, Gary, you know my views on quotas and all manner of that. They are widely publicised and you have been on the receiving end of a great many of them over the years. But I do have a lot of sympathy, haven't you, with what Jane is proposing here. And look, if there is a way that we can have that training, that grassroots training that starts early, that prepares women right from the time that they get involved in the party all the way up until they can compete in a pre-selection, they are going to be more successful. They just are. I refuse to accept this view that there is this rampant misogyny through the Liberal Party. Look, we've got our issues and they pop up. Please don't think that they're just a Liberal Party issue. They happen everywhere in politics. But to the extent that we can make women competitive, I'm all for it.
Yeah, good idea. We'll call it the Bronwyn Bishop Fund, I think, Caroline. And anyway, I wish you really well with the Royal Report, tiara or no tiara. You'll just slay them. So go for it. Thanks so much for your time.